Hey folks, it's Ardwulf. Welcome to Let's Play EverQuest II, Episode 2, and we're picking up right where we left off. The character fifth we're here is a Wood Elf Fury, which is a Druid class, and we're picking up at level 6. Now there are two things that I've done since the last episode, one of which was, we can pull up our skills here. I went around the zone, just took a quick pass through the zone and made sure that each of the trade skill, harvesting skills was at least a score of 20, which is actually what it needs to be. I checked to be able to harvest the tier 2 stuff, so we can ignore that for a while. And I actually replaced my bags with bags that I had another character make. If you bought bags this size, they would be relatively inexpensive on the broker. And just to clarify from last episode, it is perfectly kosher to buy stuff on the broker if you're a free-to-play player. You just can't sell stuff without buying the tokens. So we picked up at this sort of tunnel that leads from the starter area into the main part of the zone. And again, lest we be fooled by the size of this zone, which is fairly substantial. Let's see what we got here. The nursery, sapling spur outpost. Did I miss something? I totally did. I don't know if there's still quests down here or not. Like I said, it's been a while since I've been through here. But it certainly wouldn't surprise me if there were quests in here. And we do see some harvesting nodes, too. We want to speak with Agaharius and Dire Mycoria, who I'm thinking now that I'm headed this way, is in fact one of these mushroom dudes. I don't know if they're called myconids or not. I guess they're called Shroomba. I'm going to call them myconids. A little bit of a hitch there. Not something I normally experience in EverQuest II. Yep, okay, so here we are. The Grove Tender.
Speak to Ogaragus.
Voiceovers is something interesting in EverQuest II. It launched with a fairly substantial amount of voiceovers. I need to capture 5 Shrumblers. It launched with a fairly substantial amount of voiceover. But it was not what you'd call fully voiced, although I think some of the promotional stuff had said that it was going to be. But there is a substantial amount of voice over work in at least the original, like, the early zones. So here's your Shrumbler. I think it's that simple. Should be 4. Tell me there's another one here. There we go. And there's going to be our 5. You know what? Are there more quests down here? There might be. One of the things that I would like to make an adjustment on is actually the amount of swing that the camera's given me here. So let's take a look at that. Mouse settings. Mouse look sensitivity. We'll slow that down just a bit. I think it's swinging a little too much, personally. And it's something, probably because I've been playing other stuff, I'm just not quite used to it. Here's my reminder to subscribe.
From welcomes you to Jermicoria. You are free to stay.
Alright, so we need to release the dudes in their natural habitat, which ought to be where the blue dot is on the minimap. Level 7. Looks like you gotta kind of keep working this guy down here. This guy is a little bit higher than me. He's an even mob. He doesn't have any down arrows, so that's significant, especially at this level. Later on, when you've got mercenaries and a few more levels and AAs under your belt and all that stuff, you can get away with a little bit. You can get away with mobs 5 levels over your level with 2 up arrows relatively easily. You've got a lot of ways to even that particular playing field. And wow, I killed like 2 mobs and hit level 7. And I got Nature Self 2. Oops. What's this do? Ah, there's my root. And this is a debuff of some kind. It seems like the backbone of my DPS with this class, which is, again, a class I'm not terribly familiar with. We get some 8th level guys here. Is still, like, melee weapon stuff. And I don't know how well the roots, how useful the root's going to be for that reason. I have a feeling this named... he's a 2. He's a down 2. Should be able to take him. I'm going to heal myself if it comes to that, too. Always worthwhile to, we'll talk about this in a second here. Always worthwhile to kill named mobs. You get extra XP for them. You get AA XP, which is something that we're not concerned about right now because we're not level 10. But it is important and it is significant. I think the henchman's harder to kill than the main guy. Alright. Well, that's a lot of experience. Anyway. And I think I need to kill these guys anyway, so... So what encounters are multi-mob pulls, basically. They're kind of built as multi-mob pulls. And I'll show you one the next time I see one. They will actually target where you'll click on a particular mob that is your target, and you'll actually target multiple mobs. And there are certain powers that affect encounters rather than individual mobs. This is my main is a warlock, and they have a lot of powers that work that way. This guy, I haven't really seen one yet. And you know what? I realized not that long ago that the colors of these abilities actually mean something too. If you see green ones, for example, they will target encounters rather than specific guys. And I think blue are like area effect or something like that, that are not specifically targeted per to targeted mob. They're just area effect abilities, I believe. So. So, oops. Well, I guess I'm fighting this guy one way or the other. I'm going to root him too, see how effective that root is. Seems okay. Unfortunately, if my main backbone of DPS is going to be this melee weapon, then the root is not all that useful when fighting single mobs. When trying to keep multiple mobs off my back, it might be more useful. Alright, so pretty obviously, this isn't where I want to go in these caves. But also pretty obviously, I need to kill 5 Groban Diggers. We're back in the main cave here again. Let's go this way and see what happens. I'll look at the main map here. So we got these guys. Yeah, that's what I thought. They're these particular guys on the mini map are not in the area. They're not in this cave system. They're outside. That's what I thought. I know there's a quest hub out there, so. Alright. It's been a while since I've been in here. So this is probably their natural habitat. And that's that. Another nice thing about EverQuest II is, and this isn't universally true, but it's generally the case, that you don't actually have to loot mobs to get quest items that they drop. You can just kill them, and that's that. I feel like there's like some caverns that got cut off here at some point. Let's see if I can go the other way. Yeah, it's the same place I just was. Well, I'll try and go the other way and see what happens. I have a relatively rotten sense of direction, personally, so it doesn't bother me to do things like use the mini-map. Okay, that quest is to rescue 5 proto-caplings from the Western Germanarium, which is down here, which I also note is another area where those Groban diggers. In fact, there's one right there. I don't feel like I have the rhythm of this class yet, to be honest. It feels like these... I've got like one direct damage ability that's not like great, and the dot doesn't last very long, and it doesn't do very much damage. On the other hand, I have yet to come particularly close to, like, dying. So there's that. Let's make a rearrangement here of some abilities. We want that there, we want that there. I want... Oops. Don't know if I want to keep these in this particular arrangement or not, but like for basic rotation purposes, it seems adequate for the moment. Special abilities. I can choose my special abilities by pressing the L key and going to the Character Development tab. That is something we will get to shortly. I don't want to fool with that right now. I got an additional ability, which is a revive. I have a res now. That's interesting. Yeah, that seems somewhat effective. Sometimes these loot items, like the rusty longsword, for example, sound like they'll be actual usable loot, depending on your class, of course, and sometimes they aren't. So yeah, I definitely feel like I'm kind of missing something out of this class. Maybe it's something, it's real early, so maybe it's something that will mature as I continue to play. It's a relatively popular class. Rough nut. No comment. Antonia Bale, which is the server we're on, if you don't recall or didn't catch it last time, is an RP server. I personally prefer to play on RP servers. I think the community is, in every MMO I have ever played, the community where I've checked it out, the community on the RP server has been better. See, that is like a combo deal. You see, this guy's grayed out because he is bound to this other guy. Pretty sure that's my treasure chest. But on the other hand, this other one's his. So it's all good. Okay, this one, I don't have permission. 9 minutes. That sucks. Well, that's kind of crappy. Anyway, it's okay. There's plenty of mobs for everybody. What, one more of these? Two more of these? The chat quality in EverQuest II is spotty, in my opinion. On this server, it's better than on other servers, but you know, it's MMO chat. You can only ask for so much. I don't feel like I have to expand on what I was talking about before. I don't feel like I quite have a straightforward rotation here. At least not yet. I'm pretty annoyed that my auto attack turns off with each shot, and I could swear that's a relatively recent phenomenon too. I think I remember somebody complaining about that on Twitter relatively recently. I don't know that I'd say it's crippling my DPS, but it's not helping it, that's for sure. Yeah, there's that guy I gotta kill. I don't really need to brute these guys. My finger's just twitching on the one key. So crushing is what we're using for this mace that we got going on. Now, what I haven't done is provide this guy with any extra gear, which there's really not much point in doing at this level, because I'm going to be level 10 soon enough and be eligible for the next tier of gear. So, why fool with re-gearing him at level 7? That'd be silly. I think that'd be silly. At level 10, it might be worthwhile, maybe. Alright, I'd love to be able to grab my last little thing now. Alright, there we go. Respawn times in EverQuest II vary... Oh, crap. No, that's not aggro mob. Vary, very widely. So... Here, clearly, they're not that long. And you will also, you'll notice, auto-face the mob. Auto tech is fairly slow too. It's actually relatively typical MMO combat in that respect. I would say the combat pace is a little slower than that of World of Warcraft, and more in line with that of the original EverQuest, which is relatively slow. That said, if you fight, you know, like heroic level mobs, you get stomped pretty quickly. Okay.
Have you saved our proto-caplins?
Okay, so we now have to go this way. I guess.
I grow bigger than you.
Aggro range also varies relatively widely, which I actually think is a good thing. I think there should be variation in the parameters of the things that you fight, the things that you see in an MMO. So I'm pretty okay with the idea that mobs don't all have a uniform aggro range like they do in some games. Or a uniform overall difficulty, for that matter. In EverQuest II, though, it's kind of spelled out rather than you just having to guess as to how tough a mob's going to be based on its level, and maybe it'll be tough for that level, and maybe it won't. You don't really ever have to not there's no variation within mobs with the same parameters. I mean, you could fight. It's the same guy I've already killed. Fortunately, he's weak. Unfortunately, his henchman there is not that weak, as far as I could tell. But we're, like I said, we're not really close to dying here. And in fact, we've just leveled again. If you notice these little markers in the XP bar, what's that? Is that enduring breath lets me breathe underwater? That's actually kind of cool. I had no idea I would even have such an ability as a druid. Now, one thing is that stun me. The root will actually last a good long time if I'm not damaging the mob. See, that actually lasted quite a while. If I am damaging the mob, then as usually happens with these things, there's a chance that the root will break with each tick. And this is not really a root and blast class. Not that there's no element like that. You also usually can't move when you cast. Unlike Vanguard, where you can almost always move while you're casting. You just slow down. But it makes it a little bit easier to... Yeah, I feel like I'm missing out on DPS because of that issue. So it's easier to say what I was trying to say when I interrupted myself a minute ago. It's easy to break your own spell casting by just moving a little bit. If you decide that, for example, that root really doesn't serve any particular purpose after all. Now this is also, because it's a healing class, it's also a group-friendly class, and I'm, of course, not playing them in a group. There is a dungeon finder in EverQuest II. My understanding is dungeons really don't start becoming available in the dungeon finder until I think about level 20. Maybe 25 or 30 or something like that. And my understanding is that it's not widely used, but there's also some changes coming to it that might change that for all I know. So my daily objectives, I completed one of the 2 daily objectives yesterday, but not, I should say in the previous episode, which at the time of filming was in fact yesterday. Because, hey, I gotta play these games when I get the chance. Oh. I just want to leave, you little prick. Hey, at least there's more guys down here. That's something else, is at least certainly on this server, you certainly do still see people leveling characters. As I think we've seen a couple guys. This is a very mature game, too. I mean, this game's been around for 8 years, something like that. 2005 to 2013, so yeah. It's been around for about 8 years. Alright, now hopefully this is the way out. It looks like it is. No, it isn't. So hold on a minute. There are some signs in here somewhere, but I would just kind of like to leave and not fool with the signs. I think we'll have to go this way. This is the way we came in. This will take us out into that main tunnel or canyon or whatever it is. I think. This is what I'm talking about, a terrible sense of direction. Sorry, folks. That's, I think, where we want to go. I think. I could be wrong. I could wander around in here aimlessly like an idiot for the next 20 minutes. Could happen. Now, here we go. So, yeah, this is sort of like a covered canyon of some kind. As far as darkness goes, if you're curious, EverQuest II never really gets much darker than this, except in a very small couple of places. Which is unfortunate, actually, in a way, because... This is why I don't want the torch on. Oh, this zone's pretty evenly covered. I think Alt-L is the torch. You can see that it comes on there. I like to keep it off, because I like the ambient lighting, but the ambient lighting is not a particular strength of the graphics engine, to be honest. There are a few places where it looks better than it does in this zone, which is kind of like very evenly saturated.
This is an area that was once peaceful.
And there are a few areas
What's a gumpham? Oh yes, I recall. Well,
that are legitimately dark, but only a very few. Now the reason why this is a particular shame is, for one thing, I think it gives a cool ambiance if there is like lighting that has an actual effect. Get rid of that. This is junk here. You know what? Screw it. We'll get rid of it. Can always get something else. Those are useless. Vendor trash, vendor trash, vendor trash. Okay, so not a lot of loot in there. You see, I mean, I just played for, I don't know, 20 minutes or something like that, and really didn't accumulate a lot of garbage. You will accumulate a lot of inventory in EverQuest II as your levels go up, but that does take a little while. And the bags can be relatively arbitrarily large. And you notice there's a banker right here too. But there isn't really anything that we need to put in the bank. So where are these quests? Here we go. Okay, so we need to slay 8 crushed bone pawns.
Greetings! It's lots of stuff.
You will end up usually in most of these starter zones with a sort of matched set of gear at the end. And whether you like that matched gear... I want to see what... I want to see whether this particular node gives me... Yep, 10, which is the... which is still the tier 1. No, I don't want to destroy that. Still a tier 1, so I don't really need to worry about that. I will get to tier 2 harvesting nodes in this zone, however. I'm just kind of heading to where the... what's that? Orc scribbling. What do I need to do here? I need to put down some of those. Harnessed spur stalkers, which are these wolves. And the crushed bone pawns that you need to kill. And I need to fetch some growsette honey from the small hives. Okay, so that's lovely. Alright, so let's find... go root that dude. I didn't realize they weren't an encounter. I'm an idiot. So these are not actually linked mobs. I'm not sure. It looks like I wouldn't have aggroed one if I pull the other one. Go with an extra useless root. I'm going to actually throw that root right here. And I'll put this run. You can actually sprint too in this game, so which is not really useful in this particular scenario because I'm not really coming anything close to dying, and I won't probably until after level 20. if what I'm seeing so far is anything to go on. So given that I am not particularly a root and nuke class, I figure I'll just throw the root down here so I don't accidentally hit it like I've been doing. Of course, I could probably figure out an optimal rotation and put a macro together and all that, but I mean, let's not scrub all the fun out of it. We have to visit unexplored locations. We've got 2 of 3 of those. I want to know what I get. Oh, and I got a harvesting objective as well. So here's my I just hit level 10. Yes, I did. Okay. Okay. I now have access to the alternate advancement system. Let's actually go back to the quest hub. We're not done. Okay, I got another... That's a slow, not a root. We're going to go back to the quest hub. We're going to do our alternate experience and the special abilities that we kind of ignored before. And then we will finish up this episode in preparation for the next one. So, we will hit the L key, and this brings up our character development window. Now, here are my innate abilities, and these are granted by my race. I have infravision, which I can put... choose a heat profile. I don't have this in my hotbar. If I pull the K button, pulls my abilities, I can actually... This is why it's really a shame that there isn't more ambient lighting in EverQuest II, and why I'm really excited about the potential for ambient lighting being a factor in EverQuest Next. Because this character has infravision. I can see heat signatures. And this is really cool. But it's not particularly useful because you're never in really a scenario where you need it. There's like an underwater vision. I forget what it's called. It might be called aqua vision, which can be sort of handy if you're underwater, which would be neat actually because I have ability to breathe underwater. But it's not as cool as it could be. Anyway, you can access these wood elf traditions, and there's a whole big brick of them here, and you get to pick one at every 10 levels. So let's see what we can do here. We can increase our wisdom, which might be useful. Wisdom, since we're a priest, might be useful. This increases my skills with piercing and ranged weapons. No, I don't need that. Increases multi-attack chance of caster by 2.0. Increases ministration, which is a healing, which is probably something we actually want this at some point, but we don't need it right now. Improves the casting speed of beneficial spells. Woodland regeneration increases auto-power combat regeneration. Elven spirits increases the duration of trade skill drinks. Let's check that real quick. Yeah, okay, we don't have to worry about that yet. That's food and drink is something we'll talk about later. It does something very different in EverQuest II than it does in World of Warcraft. Increases the trigger count of poisons by 25%, not useful. Increases stealth or invisible movement speed of caster by 15%, which would be useful if we actually get a stealth, which I'm not sure we do. And in fact, I'm kind of guessing we don't, but I could be wrong. Okay, so let's take Gift of Tunar, which gives me a small bonus to power and small bonus to health. So that sounds good. And I get to pick one of these every 10 levels. Now, focus effects. What this does, I get one focus effect every 9 levels. This, let's see, reduces the chances of being stunned. It passively increases combat regeneration, health, power, magical resistances, and attributes. It increases wisdom, agility, and strength, which is good for me. Increases the mitigation versus elemental and noxious. 5% chance to resist stun. Increases stamina and int by exactly the same as it increases everything else. Focus critical damage, which probably not a good idea for this class. Focus unrestricted. Reduces the effects of snares. Focus stances. All priest stances will grant crit bonuses. Passively increases combat regeneration, health and power, magic resistances, wisdom and stamina. Focus on Death Swarm. No. I think we're going to go with Focus Stalwart. Again, we get to pick more of these later. And then we have Alternate Advancement. Now, this is kind of the talent trees of EverQuest II. And you can start putting them in at level 10. This is interesting. You can save profiles. I had no idea. Anyway, basic leveling profile solo, basic leveling profile group, basic leveling profile PvP. Huh. Well, that's interesting. This is a new feature. Obviously, I haven't seen this yet. Nature Blade. So shapeshift gives me the ability to shape change into one of 3 animal forms I can select from in my abilities. I had no idea this was even available. Also adds physical mitigation along with 4 wisdom and stamina passively per point spent. Okay. Okay, so basically there's these different trees that I can put stuff in, that I can put points in. I have 6 points available right now, and certain types of activities will give me additional alternate advancement points. Just killing mobs, regular mobs, does not. Although, you have this slider that will let you move a certain amount of your regular experience into AA experience. If you do not subscribe, it is set at 50%. So your regular experience will go 50% to AA, which is not a bad ratio for a good long time, until maybe the very last like 5 levels. Then that ratio might be kind of an issue. I'm not really sure what to do here, so I'm gonna, especially since I don't see what these shape-changing abilities are, I'd be real curious to know. So we're just gonna go with the basic leveling profile. This one gives me a melee attack that increases my attack speed if it hits. I could use more melee attacks. Increases my chance of attacking twice with every attack. Okay, this gives me 1, 1, 1. Where are the rest of these points getting spent? Alright, so we're going to spend there, spend here, 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 and I can spend up to 10 points in this. I'm going to spend 5, and it gives me 1 of these and 5 of these, and that looks good for now. I don't really want to use their presets for some reason. Maybe they're really awesome, I don't know. Okay, so winter. Oh, okay. So I get all of the different shapeshift abilities. So I can turn into a winter wolf, a tiger, and these last how long until canceled, or a treant, which increases my base healing. So the tiger increases. Can I still cast spells in these forms? I have no idea how this works. I had no idea this was even part of the class, to be completely honest. Okay, so we're finding new stuff here, folks. We're going to call this episode here. We've been playing for a while, and I would like to keep these episodes a little shorter than the first one, which was about an hour and 15 minutes, and it was very hard to compile and do all that stuff with. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this. In the notes below, you will find a link to my website at ardwulfstore.wordpress.com. There will also be a link to my channel called Norathian Odyssey, which is a sort of more tutorial-oriented series of videos on EverQuest II, if you want to check that out. There's a couple videos in that series, and there's more on the way. And you'll find links to follow me on various social networks like Facebook, Google+, and Twitter. And subscribe to the channel. There's more videos coming, and there's a lot of videos already. Hope you've enjoyed watching. I'll see you next time.